welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonnet, the owner and creator behind Sonnet's Garden Blooms, and in today's video I am going to give you an update on what I've been working on this past week. Really the meat or the bones of my booth display, and you definitely need that when you are creating a booth. So it's all the large pieces. And I started freaking out because I like to have all my pieces for sale in any of my booth displays. Well, I finally am needing to get a bit creative because I just do not have enough. So I'm gonna take you along, show you what I've accomplished, what I have in store for these other pieces, and I hope you enjoy today's video. First and foremost, I get out a pad of paper and a pen and I draw out a rough draft of kind of how I want to set it up. Is this probably going to be exactly how I have it the day of I start setup? Probably not, but at least I have somewhat of a vision of the pieces. And keep in mind, this is not to scale. So last year when I did this, I brought all my pieces and I had way too much stuff. So I'm praying that that's what happens this year. But I want to show you a couple things. First and foremost, do you remember when I picked that trellis out of the garbage? That's where I'm putting the trellis. So in case you forgot, I found this amazing trellis on the curb, and thank goodness, you guys, I had this ratchet strap because it would not fit in my vehicle. And that is one tip that I would recommend to all you pickers is always have ratchet straps and a screw gun in your vehicle at all times. Now, here is just a little glimpse of what it looked like lying on the trailer, but I want to give you an actual visual of it standing up. So this is going to be the front entrance of my booth. So you're going to be able to walk through the trellis. I will have it for sale as well. I've given you guys teasers. But I think this is going to be a great addition to my entire booth display. So on the other side of the booth, I am going to have another entrance, and that's where it's going to be approximately, and I've decided to try to use these doors. I found these doors ages ago at the Restore. They were super cheap. I had a different vision for them, but I thought this would be perfect. Now, if I have time, and that is going to be a real issue if I have time to do this, I would love to paint these white and distress them back because I do want to use these doors in one of my actual booth displays, but this is my vision. I'm putting one on each side. I am going to take this old vintage ladder, put it over the top. I also have these clear plastic pieces that I will lay across the ladder top so that I can display pieces up high as well. To hold these all up and make sure it's very stable, on the very bottom, I do have L brackets that I will also put on each of the door frames. So next up, I have this old vintage ladder that I created. I built shelves for this ladder, and I have this really cool white like shelving unit. Now, remember in fall when I was getting organized? Well, I organized this whole area in the back of my garage, and I thought, I'm not going to need these pieces till Cranberry Fest. Well, guys, look where I have it tucked, and I have my big saw in front of it. So this is going to be another day. I was going to actually show you what it looked like. Unfortunately, that is not going to happen today. The back wall of my booth, I am going to put some shelves that I have reused and a table that I built a while ago. Here is the table. You can see it. It's white and it has a red top, like a barn red. And then the shelves for that wall are on top of that. This is another area in my garage where I have all pieces that I either need to refurbish or a storage area. Now that you guys saw that, here are my business cards, and I have been pricing like crazy. I do use a business card for each of my items, and I just want to give you a glimpse of the crazy mess that I have going on in my studio. I kind of have things set about, things that I need to price yet, things that are priced, and you can see there is a lot going on. Now, here are the green chairs that I redid for the table and chairs in the center of my display. I also have these other two Farm Fresh colored chairs in that right-hand corner. And you can see, you guys, there is a lot going on. So do not be alarmed. I am going to pull this all together. For the first piece that I have been working on, this is an old Ethan Allen hutch, and I thought it was pretty cool. I picked it up at the restore. I painted the exterior apothecary, and then the inside of the actual shelving unit, I painted beadboard. I love how this has turned out. I love the hardware on it as well, and this will be a great piece that I can display a lot of my small pieces as well. So here is the second hutch that I found at the Habitat. So I was very fortunate. I went to the Habitat looking for one hutch and I found two, and they must have been donated by the same person. They were both Ethan Allen, and I really did love both of them. For this one though, I'm using Chateau, which is a paint inlay from IOD, and I think these are absolutely beautiful images. So my vision here is I am going to take the front of the doors and the drawer, and I am going to put a paint inlay in those pieces. First off, you always have to have your first coat of paint down, which I did. Now, for the paint inlay, what I found from Jonathan Mark Mendez is he recommended having a thicker coat for the second layer of paint, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm applying the second coat of paint over the entire piece, and then where I'm going to apply the paint inlay, I'm just going to make it a little bit thicker. The other thing he recommended was to mist your actual paint inlay to activate the paint before you put it in your wet paint. I lay it down, and what I discovered too is just like you would with the Roadside decoupage paper, and you start on one end and you work your way all the way down to prevent wrinkles, that is what I do with the paint inlay. So I line it all up, lay it on one side, and then smooth it as I'm laying it down. I don't just plop it down. I really want to make sure that it's all lined up and then try to smooth out as many wrinkles as possible. From there, I start working in my next section, and again, a really nice thick layer of paint in that spot where I want my paint inlay, and then I mist the paint inlay and then apply it. As I work in each of the areas, that's what I have found works the best. And I'm so happy that I went to the IOD conference and was able to get that tip from Jonathan. He is such an amazing furniture artist. If you haven't checked him out, definitely go and do that. Once I get the paint inlay in there though, just remember, mist it one more time to completely dampen the entire paint inlay. Let it completely dry, and then come back, have your misting bottle again, mist the whole piece. Once it gets all like damp but not oversaturated, I always take like a damp rag and wipe off any excess, and then once I do that, I just pull it back, and I can't get enough of these guys. They are absolutely amazing, and I find it so rewarding when I pull the paint inlay back and the actual image is embedded in there. After that, the only recommendation I have is I let it completely dry, and then from there, I've heard other people do like they spray on a top coat. what I do is just I heavily load my paintbrush with either like Big Top or a poly, and then I don't put a lot of pressure on the paint. I just heavily load that and then put the poly or Big Top down, let it dry, and then I apply a second coat. What I've heard from others is when they put the top coat on with, or the sealer on with a paintbrush, that they smear the paint inlay. That's why I heavily load it up and I don't put a lot of pressure on, and I just coat it one time, let it dry, go back, and then do a second top coat. Here is the finished project. I am showing you the bottom. I have to put the hardware yet on the top portion, but what a transformation, you guys. Plus, I just have to show you it naturally like crackled the top. I don't know how or why, but I absolutely loved it and I just left it as is. But what do you guys think of this piece? Next up was the table. I did find this on the curb, and honestly, guys, I cannot believe some of the things people toss out. So my vision for this was I wanted to sand the entire top, and I wanted to paint the legs and the bottom white and distress those, and then stain the top gray. Now, the sanding did not take that long. I was very surprised that it came off so quick, but when I stained it gray, it was just too stark. So I have a distressing solution that I've created. I put that on there, and that made the top absolutely perfect, and I cannot wait to show you the finished project. The sides, I did use vintage linen for the legs and the side, and you guys, this paintbrush from DIY, the Perfectionist, is honestly, it gets into all the nitty-gritty details, and it allows you to create such a perfect line when you're cutting in. So just a little tip is if you are going to get one of the paintbrushes, the Perfectionist, I am absolutely loving this baby. Next up, I did the legs, and again, all that detail of getting in there, the Perfectionist really was perfect for that. But I wanted to show you these chunky legs of the table. They were perfect. Now, when I found this on the curb, they actually had the legs taken off for me. So I do have to assemble this, but I am going to do that at Wendy's. It's going to make actually bringing this piece to Wendy's that much easier. And but look at the chunkiness of them. I love chunky legs on tables, guys. I like chunky legs on tables. So here are the chairs. I did paint them gypsy green. I was very torn at first what color to paint the chairs to go with this table. I decided to go with gypsy green. I painted them 2 coats, distressed them, sealed them, and then covered the seats with this really awesome charcoal gray fabric, and it went perfectly with that tabletop. The last thing that I worked on was this old vintage desk, and again, another curbside find, and I started by removing all the drawers, took all the hardware off. I did do a decoupage finish on the drawers. I used Roadside grungy numbers, and then the entire base, I used a little black dress and I painted that. I absolutely love this desk, guys. I'm on I really want to keep it for myself, okay? I love it so much. I just don't have an actual space for it, but I love it. But it will be available at Antique Acres on May 19th and 20th. So here are 2 chairs that I recently found on the curb as well. One of these chairs is going to be featured with the desk, not sure which one yet. So if you guys have a favorite, let me know in the comments. I am going to paint them Monet's Garden. A fellow viewer did recommend that, so I decided that would be perfect. And she said, then you can display a bunch of brass pieces also on top of the desk. I'm like, yes, I love that idea. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's just a little peek into what I go through when I'm prepping and preparing for a show. I am actually taking a couple days for myself and I'm heading to Door County with a bunch of my friends. So I'm super excited to just kind of rest and relax for a couple days, but I'll get back home on Sunday. And I know it's Mother's Day and I want to wish all of you moms out there a happy Mother's Day weekend. But I will probably hit the ground running and continue on because Monday starts actually setting up at Wendy's. So what I'll do is I'm going to be videotaping the whole process, but basically I am not renting any type of U-Haul like for this type of event like I do for Cranberry Fest. So I am just going to fill like my whole entire truck full of stuff and then bring it there and just start setting up. And I do have Monday through Thursday to do that. And then by Thursday, I think the cutoff time is 5 o'clock. I have to have my booth completely set up. So I am hoping and praying that it will all come together, which I know it will. Putting just a little bit too much pressure on myself. But again, it's just a process and then I will be set. So anything that left over from this event, I will disperse between all of my booths and it will be a really great like spring/summer booth refresh for all 3 booths. So, all right, guys, you guys have a great weekend and a happy Mother's Day and we will see you Monday. Bye.